The views expressed in this video are just my own, and I base them off observations I have made in Dark Souls 3. Do not take this as gospel, as much of it is speculation. If you find anything objectively incorrect in the video, please let me know. If you're anything like me, when you finish Dark Souls 3 you might be wondering, well, what was it all about? What did any of it mean? Had I saved the world by linking the flame again? Had anything changed? This video will basically be covering a number of topics that I thought were interesting to explore after I had finished the game. The main points of the video will focus on Dark Souls 3 as a quote-unquote conclusion to the series, the role of the Abyss in the game, the role of Lothric, and the possible existence of two simultaneous worlds existing inside Dark Souls 3 at the same time. I'll start off by telling you why I think that Dark Souls 3 is not a conclusion to the Souls series in the traditional sense. I believe that the Dark Souls timeline, as I believe many other people interested in the lore do, feel that it is utterly cyclical. What I mean by cyclical is that the roles that different characters play and the events that transpire in each one of the games will repeat for eternity. At some point or another, the first flame will require rekindling. We've seen this in each one of the games, and the amount of Lords of Cinder makes this apparent that this has happened over and over again. As many of us know, I'm sure, the reason that we're given why the flame needs to be rekindled is to prevent the world from slipping into the Age of Dark. Presumably, the Age of Dark is a time when there will be no fire and the Abyss will rule the world in absolute fashion. From the beginning, the player is motivated by characters to rekindle the flame. In the first game, when Oscar bequeaths this quest of his onto us to rekindle the flame, we feel obligated to, because we feel like we have been chosen to do so. In each game we are under the impression that the Age of Fire is still ongoing, which is why we're motivated to even try to finish this quest. However, in spite of this, evidence is given in Dark Souls 3 that makes us think that maybe we've already lost. Maybe the Age of Fire is over, and has been over for a very long time. The item description for the Eyes of the Firekeeper reads, "A pair of dark eyes, said to be the eyes of the first Firekeeper, and the light that was lost by all Firekeepers to come. It reveals to the sightless Firekeepers things that they should never see." This is perhaps the most important and the most disturbing item description in Dark Souls 3, and perhaps all of the Dark Souls games. The item description implies that whatever the first Firekeeper saw drove her to remove her eyes and to ban any future Firekeepers from having their vision. This begs the question, what did the first Firekeeper really see? My theory is that they saw a world consumed by the Abyss, but it was not a vision or an illusion, it was the truth. And the world of Dark Souls has already entered the Age of Dark. Compare then, if you will, Dark Souls 3 to the first Matrix film. Neo walks around in a computer simulation for many years without realizing that he's in a simulation. However, there are small glitches that allow him to sense a difference between the real world and the fake. Things like the Black Cat and Morpheus speaking to him through the computer. There are similar examples of this in Dark Souls that imply that the Abyss is controlling the illusion of the real world, hiding the fact that the world has already fallen under darkness. If you attempt to give the Eyes of the Firekeeper to the Firekeeper in Firelink Shrine, she is shocked. In fact, she is so shocked that she wishes for you to kill her now that she has the true knowledge of what's really going on. The sort of revelation that the Firekeeper would experience would be akin to the fact that you've been living a lie your entire life. You would suddenly know that any attempts you have to save the world have been fruitless, and in fact, you've been tricked into believing that you could make a difference at all. As you are teleported towards the kiln of the first flame, you see what appears to be the dark sign in the sky and the ruins of Lothric. In Dark Souls 1, it is explained that the dark sign shows that the person that it is imprinted on is undead. Could this imply that the world itself is now undead and hollow, lacking a soul? One location that I believe is a true representation of the world is the Untended Graves. It is reminiscent of the Abyss in Dark Souls 1, where you fight the four kings. There is nothing but endless blackness, a broken bonfire, and a distinct lack of a Firekeeper. Evidence that the world has entered the world of dark is also shown through Prince Lothric. In the game, Prince Lothric is presented to be a Lord of Cinder, yet it is apparent from the item descriptions of his soul and other things that he never wanted to be a Lord of Cinder and rejected this duty. The item description of his soul reads, "The two princes rejected their duty to become Lords of Cinder and settled down far, far away to watch the fire fade from a distance. A curse makes their soul nearly inseparable."
Yes, indeed. It is called Lothric.
Old English meanings for the words Loth and Rick shed some light on Prince Lothric's role in Dark Souls 3. Loth, which is related to loathe, means unwilling or hateful. A rick is a stack of hay. I may be reaching here a little bit, but a rick, a stack of hay, is a flammable substance, like a cinder. Since Lothric never wanted to be a Lord of Cinder, he could be called an unwilling cinder, or Lothric. Knowing what we know, this unwillingness may have led to the world becoming dark and entering the Age of Dark. If this is really so, then any attempt to rekindle the flame would be meaningless. The item description of Prince Lothric's sword reads, "Young Lothric was meant to be a champion and was expected to wield this platinum sword, but some things will remain distant dreams forever." Another interesting fact is that Lothric does not appear in the opening cutscene as a Lord of Cinder, because he isn't one. Regardless of the theory that Lothric might be casting an illusion across the land, or whether the Abyss has taken over, it doesn't matter a whole lot, because in the ending where you usher in the Age of Dark with the Firekeeper, she says, "The first flame quickly fades, darkness will shortly settle, but one day tiny flames will dance across the darkness, like embers linked by lords past." This would imply that regardless of what happens, whether the Age of Dark sets in or something else, a first flame, quote unquote, will spring from somewhere, even after the Age of Dark has begun. So I guess it isn't all bad, but yeah, the world is still fucked. Anyway, that's really everything I wanted to talk about. get those things off my chest has been good. I'd be very interested to hear what you guys think. Look, I might be completely off the fucking mark with all of this stuff, but I just thought it would be neat to kind of examine all of these things and see where they take us. So thank you again for watching, and if you did like it, please subscribe and leave a comment to let me know what you think of the lore so far.